Peace. Welcome to another episode of MFD News. I'm your host, YHWH Ben Yisrael, the Iconoclast. In this episode, we'll be discussing the shooting that took place in Minnesota, where Officer Kimberly Potter gunned down Duante Wright. Duante Wright was a young 20-year-old Israelite male, and he was pulled over for expired tags, expired registration. The encounter led to Mr. Wright dying. First, I'll play the video of the encounter, and then I will tell the mainstream media's official narrative of what took place with some commentary, and finally I'll give my opinion on the details, on the facts, and on the guilt, and on who is responsible for the situation occurring and for the death of Duante Wright. So first up, let's take a look at the body cam footage that was released yesterday. That is the footage so far that was provided by the New York Post website. Now, the officer involved in the incident, Kimberly Potter, she is a 26-year veteran of the police force. The official narrative is that she mistook her service weapon for her taser and accidentally shot Duante Wright, leading to his untimely death. I've scoured the internet to find articles to read, different headlines, different articles by different journalists and reporters. I've watched a couple different videos of people discussing it, what their take is on it. If we go over to CNN, we can see that a lot of protesting, rioting, and looting has taken place in the wake of this shooting. BBC News is carrying it, the New York Times as well, because concurrently, the trial of Derek Chauvin in the death of George Floyd is taking place as well in the state of Minnesota. So is this just another case of pouring salt in the wound, or was this shooting justified? We have commentary from the Peanut Gallery, Beyonce, Jamie Foxx, Trevor Noah. I have absolutely no idea why anyone would care what Beyonce, Jamie Foxx, and Trevor Noah have to say on the issue. I have no idea why people care what the opinions of entertainers is, or what the opinions of entertainers are. What is Beyonce and Jamie Foxx supposed to do in this situation exactly? What type of solutions can they offer? Sure, they can probably sing you a song, We Are the World or something like that, Kumbaya. But what can they really lend? Is there some information that they have that the mainstream, lamestream media is not providing? Do they have another side of the story? Were they there on the scene? Why is the media sharing their opinion as if it matters? But I digress. Let's get back to the matter at hand. The narrative that's being put forth is that Duante Wright was on the way to his older brother's house with his girlfriend in the car, and he was stopped for expired tags. Upon being stopped for the expired tags, the police recognized that Mr. Wright had a warrant out for his arrest. They proceeded to try and arrest Mr. Wright, and Mr. Wright would not have it. He resisted arrest, and Kimberly Potter, the officer, drew her service weapon, mistaking it for a taser, and shot Mr. Wright, and he drove off and crashed several blocks away and passed away at the scene. Now, Duante Wright, he's an Israelite, but he doesn't recognize or realize that he's an Israelite and that he's under a curse. He's a 20-year-old driving to his oldest brother's house with his girlfriend in the car. He gets pulled over because they say that his vehicle has expired tags. After the police pull him over, they request insurance information, which Duante is unable to provide. So, under instructions from his older brother, who he had been communicating with via text messages, he decided to call his mother. But first, Duante would give the police officers his name. The police then realized that he had an outstanding warrant and attempted to place Duante under arrest. Dante's mother is quoted as saying, he said they pulled him over because he had air fresheners hanging from the rear view mirror. Now, if that sounds incredulous, it shouldn't. I know that this is possible because a friend and I were pulled over in the Bronx for the same fictitious charge. However, the news is reporting that he was pulled over for expired tags. One has to wonder why Duante would give that reason as the cause for the stop. One also has to wonder if the police originally gave Duante that reason as justification for the stop. One also has to wonder if Duante was lying to his mother, because that's another possibility. The police are quoted as having told Duante, put down the phone and get out the car, to which Duante responded by asking why. To which the police responded, we'll explain everything to you when you get out the car. After leaving the car, the police attempt to place Duante under arrest, and Duante resists by attempting to re-enter his vehicle. The officer which perpetrated the shooting, Kimberly Potter, is heard yelling, taser, 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 before firing what sounds to be like a single shot. The officer can be heard saying, holy shit, I just shot him. Duante drives off and crashes several blocks away and dies at the scene. Now, As a result of the shooting, Black Lives Matter MK Ultra zombies, aka weaponized sodomites, aka LGBTQI LMNOP, have risen once again and have taken to the streets to rage like mindless idiots. And as a sidebar, I swear, at the rate this country's going, these LGBTQI people, they will have claimed all of the letters of the alphabet in 10 years. In 10 years, this country is going to need a new alphabet because of the multitude of freaks and sodomites laying claim to the letters of the alphabet. But anyway, they've taken to the streets, rioting, looting, and in general tossing their own feces all over the place like angry animals. Does no one find it strange that Black Lives Matter is made up of a bunch of lesbians and bisexuals and transsexuals? And the makeup of Black Lives Matter, there's a lot of whites, Caucasians. No one finds it strange that there is no strong so-called black male leadership in Black Lives Matter? Okay, well, that's a topic for another time. So thus far is the official narrative in the mainstream media. Now we have some data on Miss Kimberly Potter. She's a 26-year police veteran. She's the president of the Brooklyn Center Police Officers Association. She's been placed on administrative leave, as is common in these types of situations. Kimberly Potter is apparently colorblind and weight ignorant because after 26 years on the force, she cannot differentiate between a yellow and black plastic taser and an all-black metal gun. In her fear, she freaked out and lost all sense of recognition. I'm going to go out on a limb here. And say that women shouldn't be police officers. Women also shouldn't be fighting in the army. Women are naturally emotionally inclined and emotionally biased. They are not equipped to properly assess a situation in a state of heightened fear, tension, and elevated emotion. People need to learn how to stay in their place, and society needs to quit blurring the lines between genders and role responsibility. The police chief is describing the situation as accidental. He says he believes the officer meant to use taser and not gun. Quote, says the police chief, "As I watched the video and listened to the officer's commands, it is my belief that the officer had the intention to deploy their taser, but instead shot Mr. Wright with a single bullet." Gannon said, "This appears to me from what I viewed and the officer's reaction and distress immediately after, that this was an accidental discharge that resulted in the tragic death of Mr. Wright." And of course, without knowing all the facts and all the details, the rabid Black Lives Matter protesters were out in the streets and up in arms. And again, concurrently, the trial of Derek Chauvin is taking place 10 miles away because of the rabid Black Lives Matter, quote unquote, protesters, wokety woke people, right? There were reports of break-ins, looting, things that are common at Black Lives Matter protests. And about 40 arrests were made. Now, incidentally, The police officers said that they initially stopped Duante Wright because of expired tags. It's a fact that there are more encounters between civilians and civil servants when the civil servant's function is to generate revenue for the city and or the state. That's what a lot of police are. And that's what they're into, revenue generators and revenue generating. Their duty is to seek for any means to fleece the average person of money, whether it be a taillight, dealer plates in the rear window, dark tints, or expired tags. As usual, in this case, the new ambulance chaser that replaced Al Sharpton, one Mr. Benjamin Crump, is on the scene to lend his voice and legal expertise in the matter. He has described the shooting as entirely preventable and quote-unquote inhuman. He also did not neglect to name drop George Floyd in his commentary. And Mr. Benjamin Crump is always on the scene of these racially charged incidents. And I understand that everyone needs legal representation because the average person is not acquainted with the laws that govern even their cities sometimes, even the state and the country. So I understand that they need legal representation, but this dude is just an ambulance chaser. He's always on the scene doing what? Looking for lawsuit money. Okay, it's all about the dollars, all about the dollar bills, y'all. So what's my unbiased opinion after watching the video and reading the narrative being portrayed and played out in the lamestream media? Okay, my unbiased, awakened Israelite assessment of the situation is that Duante Wright deserved what he got. If he didn't deserve it, why then did he get it? Duante Wright is an Israelite suffering under a curse, and the sword, which is death, is a part of the curse. Because Duante Wright was more than likely into idolatry and isn't submissive to the truth of being an Israelite, Duante Wright has transitioned. Duante could have submitted to the authorities, and Duante could have accepted responsibility and held himself accountable to answer to the open warrant. Instead, Duante chose to behave in a way that is stiff-necked, stubborn, and recalcitrant. His actions brought on the consequences that transpired, which unfortunately, ultimately, ended in his early departure from this plane. It's unfortunate that Duante will not have the opportunity to look back on this situation with 2020 hindsight vision. Kimberly Potter is a Birdhead police officer whose 26 years of experience, apparent colorblindness, and weight recognition handicap ended the life of Duante Wright prematurely. Does she deserve some blame? Yes, she does. She took a life. Is she guilty of murder? No. Manslaughter? Possibly. Negligent homicide? Probably. Will she be punished? No, probably not. Does she deserve to be punished? You be the judge. This has been the Iconoclast, YHWH Ben Yisrael, with MFD News. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification. Until next time, peace.